will go live. There's always like a hiccup in the first
Sure.
10 seconds, but we will get it going. Make sure the phone is on silent. It is. All right, and it appears we are live. So welcome everyone to the Apptrepreneur Show, where we are doing a special interview episode. And I know a lot of you have been waiting to talk to this, for me to talk to this gentleman. I have got the CEO of Tripp Technologies, Bob McNulty, in the digital studio with me. So say hi, Bob.
Hello, everybody.
All right. So Bob here, as you know, he is the CEO of Tripp Technologies, and Tripp Technologies is they're the homeowner of Tripp Rideshare and Tripp Delivers. That's what you're calling it now, right?
Correct. Yes.
All right. And
yes.
before we get going with the questions, which I know you are all interested in, a few things have to be mentioned. First of all, I know that there's some controversy around Tripp, but this is not going to be a boxing match or a interrogation. This is going to be a discussion. This is going to be an interview. We're here to have a friendly chat about rideshare, Tripp, and even COVID-19 plans. The other thing is I want to thank William M. from Rideshare Legacy, who was really the driving force behind setting this up. So thank you, William. And also, Mr. McNulty has agreed, after a few of the initial questions get asked, that if someone drops a super chat and has a reasonable question, that we will answer as many of those as possible. So if there is a Tripp-related question that is not unreasonable, then we may just answer that question. But
sure.
Anyway, so how are you feeling so far, Bob?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to speaking with you. And like I said, I'd watched you before, and I like the way you handle yourself on interviews. I thought I saw the one yesterday. It was great, and I've seen one 6, 7, 8 months ago.
Oh, thank you. So so first, just a personal question: how are you dealing with COVID-19?
Like everybody else, I'm staying home a lot. When late February this year, when they first started talking about it, I didn't really give it a lot of thought. And I I took my grandson to a Dodger training in Phoenix, and we were there for 3 days, came home, dropped him off, and then came home, and literally was home from March 4th until, I don't even think I left the house once for the first 30 days.
No, me neither. No, I was pretty much.
So I just wanted to be protective, and we do wear masks when I go out and things like that. Always have since the beginning, it just makes more sense.
Right. And that wasn't going to be a question, but since you brought it up, just a brief yes or no. When people sign up to drive for Tripp, will they be required to wear masks?
We haven't really gone through that because we're not launching on the rideshare side. We're launching on the delivery side. So okay. The delivery driver is going to, when he goes in the restaurant, obviously he's going to be wearing masks. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So they'll be wearing masks if they go, obviously they're going into an establishment to pick up a meal or whatever it might be, or drop off.
Okay. All right. So we'll start our first question, because this is by far the most controversial thing I'm going to ask. So we might as well get it out of the way.
Sure.
What is it? Is it TRYP or is it TRIP?
No, it's a good question. So it's TRYP Technologies Inc. It's been the name of the company since we formed it. At the original inception, like everybody else, we did a trademark search and all that stuff. And TRYP was taken by Wyndham Hotels, but only for the hotel business. Our lawyers said, no, you could use it for rideshare, or whatever you want to do. So we did.
Kind of like how Apple computers could exist. Well, Apple Music existed so long as they didn't have music products.
Right. So what happened was we got a letter from them probably, 15 months ago from Wyndham Hotels, which owns Tripp Hotels. And, there was no litigation or threat. They just said, hey, we think you're infringing on our mark. We called up our lawyers and they said, yeah, you probably are not infringing on the mark, but if you want to spend the money and litigate, it's going to cost X. So we just made a decision. Let's avoid litigation. Let's start moving everything over to Tripp. And that's what we did. So
Okay.
we're good.
And you're not concerned that this will be a conflict with Tryp.com or TripAdvisor?
No, not at all. Not
Oh.
at all. In fact, we just filed a provisional patent today on our system that we put together.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, well, glad to have that cleared up. So, I noticed today, I don't know if anyone at home can see this, but when I looked into the Google store, I found the Tripp Delivers app.
Right.
So I downloaded it. Unfortunately, I've not really been able to sign up with it using Google or Facebook. Is it just not in my market, or?
It might be because it's not your market. We soft launched yesterday. We're going through a lot of different things. Technology wise, we're not having a problem, but there are some things we didn't do. We have a whole database structure of every city in the United States. Well, in our system itself, we only turned on the 3 markets to do business in, and we screwed up. So tonight they're going to light up all the markets in the United States in the system. So that picks up all the zip codes. So yeah, there's some things like that. We had an issue with the OTP code. They got that solved, a few hours ago. So it's like anything. Look, you can build all the technology. The issue is, does the technology work, or the problems we're seeing like OTP code was because we didn't have an 800 number on our side when for the outbound.
Okay.
So we changed that. Just a lot of small things, but we're in pretty good shape. We're pretty happy exactly where we are.
All right. So are you live in any markets right now?
Well, when you say live, we have to recruit, restaurants to come on board, and then we turn the system on once we have enough restaurants and drivers that kind of match up.
Oh, okay. But is there any areas where like people can download the app and turn it on?
Oh, sure. I mean, people are downloading the app all over the United States right now.
Okay, and actually order a meal?
No, we don't have any restaurants signed up. That's the process. We got to go sign up all the restaurants. We'll start doing that next week. We'll probably sign up, I would guess, it depends, whose business you look at and how many, restaurants in a marketplace. But, I think we can get 10, 15% of a market in restaurants.
Well, now let's assume that you get that, because that's still like a lot of restaurants you don't have in the system. Are you going to do something like DoorDash and Postmates did, like hand the drivers like a company issued credit card to kind of get?
Yeah. So probably the most important thing I can do is explain our business model.
Okay.
Because we're not like DoorDash or Uber Eats or any of these guys.
All right.
Okay. So the difference is, and this is what we filed a provisional patent on today. So the difference is we charge a restaurant a flat fee. Okay. So that we don't menu markup, as you're probably aware, that in these other rideshare companies, they mark up the menu 25, 30%. And sometimes they'll get it on both sides. So the guy that gets hurt in that is a restaurateur. The restaurateur, if you look at any of the surveys, white papers out there, they're just getting hammered. They're losing, a side of their business that they don't even control anymore. They're just at the mercy of these guys. So ours is a pretty simple formula. It's $2 or $3 for the restaurant for us to come pick up their order. Okay. Then on the other side, the driver collects 100% on the other side, right, from our business model, and they get on that side of the business, they get the full fare that the consumer pays to have us pick up the order. So it's relatively cheap for the restaurateur. They save about 30% or more. Just depends on the food markup that they're confronted with. The other thing we do that's interesting is we issue every single driver their own merchant account. So we don't get between the driver and the customer and their money. Whatever money goes directly to the driver through their merchant account right in their bank account, we use that same strategy also with the restaurants. We issue the restaurant their own mid, and then the money goes directly from the customer who bought the food directly into their pocket. The money never comes to us.
So how's that profitable for you then?
It's profitable. It's very profitable, actually.
Oh,
we think we're going to get to profitability in about 90 days once we're up and running.
Oh, okay. So just on the restaurant memberships alone?
No, not on the restaurant memberships alone. We pick up $2 to $3 on an order. So that comes directly. That we make money on that, and then we also make money on although we do pay a referral fee on the subscription side of the business, $39.99 or $99.99.
Okay, so for the restaurants, it's $39.99 a month, and plus the $2 to $3.
No, it's not for the restaurant. For the
for the drivers.
The restaurants don't. The driver pays a subscription fee.
Okay. Do the restaurants pay?
It just depends how many deliveries. The restaurant has an option to be a member or non-member. If they're a non-member, they pay $3 a pickup. If they're a member, it's $2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Look, all our people, just so you know, come out of e-commerce, high volume retail. We're very disciplined on the cost side of the business. So our whole thing is how do you get to earnings quickly?
Okay.
So a little different strategy than everybody else. If you go around the world, Uber did such a phenomenal job. Everybody wanted to be Uber when they grew up, right? All these rideshare companies. So all they did basically is just clone Uber's business model. They didn't think through the business model. We're a SaaS business model. We're not anything like anybody else out there.
No, it does not appear you are. You are definitely doing things differently. So all right, well, that's good to know. Do I have anything else about that? Actually, no, there was my question. So one more little bit of confusion I want to clear up, and then we'll start getting into some of like the big topics. I noticed you have two websites, triprideshare.info and tripdelivers.com. Why two websites?
One is for this food side that we just opened up, Tripp Delivers, and the other one is more the traditional website that we've had up. So we're going to be moving some things around over the next 30 days on the websites and consolidating.
Oh, okay. Because I always thought that was a little confusing. So
it is confusing, not a little.
So one of the other big questions that people had for me is AB5 in California. It's signed. It's effectively law. It might get repealed with Proposition 22, but that's not a guarantee. What is Tripp's response to AB5, and in fact, do they even need to respond to AB5?
Well, one is we don't think we need to respond to AB5. One is, and for a multiple of reasons, notwithstanding, we're not even the same business model. We don't take percentage of the fares. We don't have surge pricing. We don't touch anybody's money. It goes directly to them. So they pay us a user fee, just like you buy Netflix a month, you pay whatever the monthly fee is. So it's a SaaS business model, software as a service. So we're a software platform. We charge a low monthly fee, and then we make it up in nickels and dimes and dollars, in different parts that accumulate as volume grows, right? So by not getting between the driver and their money, the money goes directly to them. We don't control the driver. Our drivers, if they're up against AB5, they'll have the ability to adjust their pricing if they like, or they can follow a guideline. It's up to them, whatever they want to do. Same thing with the restaurants. We don't handle their money. The money goes directly to the restaurants. So there's no waiting for the restaurateur or the driver 4 or 5 days to get their money, or having to pay extra to get their money. It just automatically goes into their account.
Oh, okay.
So we think we're in pretty good shape because of that.
Oh, all right. Well,
and the driver makes 100% of the ride fare. So whatever the ride fare is, they get 100% of it.
And that would go a long way towards, definitely combating some of the requirements of the independent contractor staff.
We meet every test that's out there on AB5.
Okay. So so basically, let's say there's a scenario that AB5 does not get repealed, Proposition 22 doesn't pass, and Uber and Lyft, let's say that they decide not to work around it, they pull out of the market. Tripp will not have to pull out of the market. We
would not.
Okay, so, and under that circumstance, Tripp is effectively the only ride share in California.
Could be. We're the only rideshare company that we know of that has our business model. That's the reason we filed a provisional patent on that today. We think the technology that we're employing for the restaurateur and or the driver, in fact, here's the thing. We don't even file a 1099 on the driver. The card processing company files a 1099, not us.
I see. Well, that's certainly different. Now, since COVID did hit, and I know Trip Rides didn't launch anywhere, is Trip Rides like officially on hold for the time being until this pandemic gets under control? Or are you still working on it?
No, we have all the pieces put together now. We could do ride share right this minute, but you got a business that's off 75, 80%, depends on the market. Like Vegas here, where I live, is just totally decimated. And it may not come back for 6 more months or so, because the convention business is the key to the casino business or hotels. And they're, you know, we used to have 600, 700,000 people a week come into Vegas. I would be shocked if it's 40 or 50,000 now. Right now, I mean, I was in the Mandalay Bay at a meeting last week, and I was just shocked that, you know, everything's closed in the Mandalay Bay. Almost every restaurant but 2 were open, and there's very few people in.
Sure, the Strip looks very different these days.
Oh, it's mind-boggling.
You know, like I proposed to my wife at the Penn and Teller show when we spent a few days.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and
very cool.
Just thinking about that experience, I have a hard time imagining any of that.
Yeah, it's
how.
Yeah, you can get down the Strip, believe it or not, from one end to the other probably in about 10 minutes now. Usually it'd take you 45 minutes.
Right. Which that just goes to show how much traffic, because the Strip's not.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So question I had.
So we pivoted to, because of that, we pivoted to the grocery, restaurant pickup and delivery business, and then looked at other pickup and delivery kinds of services we can offer down the road.
Okay. So does that mean you might even get into things other than food delivery, like say basic shopping and things like that?
Yeah, we're going to be in the basic shopping. If we want to do an Instacart model, we're built on the platform to do that. We don't know if we're going to do that yet, but we'll definitely do pickup, groceries, deliveries. We're looking at down the road some other kinds of services that we can provide in the pickup service business also.
Amazon packages?
Maybe, who knows? Those guys are amazing.
Yeah, probably can't do Amazon packages. They've got a pretty firm grip on that. So,
huge.
Yeah, so a question that came to mind while we were actually doing our little pre-interview talk, why did you get into this? Hello? I think we lost him, folks. Let me re-invite him. Oh. So did you fall out?
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, you're back. You're back.
I actually unplugged myself. I was pushing the earpiece in. I probably hit the disconnect.
Oh, okay. So, well,
sorry.
Don't worry. Live. It's fun. So, here's a question I thought of when we were doing our little pre-chat. Why did you get into this?
Well, that's a long story. It was by accident. I have a son. I have multiple sons, but I was with one of my sons who lives in Venice, and we had a business appointment in Beverly Hills. But he had to drop his car off at a service station and get it work done. And I said to him the night before, I said, hey, let's just get a town car, pick us up at the service, and then just go to Beverly Hills, do the meeting. And then, come back. And he says, okay, no problem. So my son is really one of those really smart guys, but doesn't tell you a lot what's going on. And I never heard of Uber. Can you believe this is 4 years ago? And I should have, right? And so about a minute before we should have been leaving, because I like to be punctual. I asked him, I said, well, where's the town car? And he gets his phone out and he says, see that little car that's moving right there on that screen? I go, yeah. He said, that's going to be here in 1 minute. I go, what? So he showed me the thing. I was just blown away. So we drove up to Beverly Hills, did our meeting. He ordered the car before it ever exited the meeting. It was downstairs when we came. And I was just blown away by the service. I said, God, if you lived in LA, why would you even own a car? Right? That's what we were talking about, convenience. Just so convenient. So what happened was I just started looking at the business itself, because I'm naturally curious about new businesses, and it was disruptive. And then I started doing interviews, not by design. I just started talking to drivers when I started taking Uber or Lyft. And I started out, how long you've been driving, normal kinds of things. How long you've been driving, do you like it? And surprisingly, the vast majority of the people really like their job. They just didn't like the way they were being treated.
Hmm.
So I started asking either deeper questions. Why is that? How's that work? I spent about a year just kind of thinking around, trying to figure it out. And then once I said, God, all they got to do is change to a SaaS business model to get rid of all these headaches they got and pay more. We have an option program for our drivers. We actually have 1,800 drivers that have an option with the company, own equity.
Oh, okay. So how many drivers own equity in the company?
1,800 and change, something like that.
1,800 and change. Roughly how much percentage of the company would you say that is?
Well, we reserved up to 5% of the company for ownership.
Up to
for drivers.
5%. So in theory, is there a way for more drivers to buy equity into the company, but then everyone else's shares just get diminished a little bit?
Well, anytime you're building a company, you have to look at obviously a couple sides. Are you growing the business on the equity side? In other words, is the capital markets growing the valuation of the company, and how much are you giving away? We give out options to the drivers. We don't ask them for any money on the options or anything like that. They're actually cashless exercise. We try to make it easy for the driver.
And you know why I'm asking? Because another rideshare company called Juno, one of their selling points was, when you drive for us, you get equity in the company. And I mean, I'm sure your model's a little different, but the bottom line is they were promising equity, and people signed up and they drove, and they thought they were going to get this big payout. And then another rideshare company called Get bought Juno, and the riders were frankly shocked. Not the riders, the drivers were very shocked to find that these thousands upon thousands of stock options that they had accrued averaged out at between $5 to $20 a person when all was said and done. Is that going to be a similar situation with Tripp?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we look at this is a real deal for us. We've always given out options to either employees or people that have really worked hard in my companies. So look, we're in this thing for the long haul, and we think we can build great value. And we think that I wouldn't be doing this, and the people in our company who have really significant experience in disrupting businesses wouldn't be here either if they didn't believe it. We think our business model is strong enough to carry the day for us. And that's not to say we're not going to have bumps in the road, or you're going to have competition. You're going to have all of that. We really do understand that. But our whole thing is trying to give back, give more to the driver, put more in their pocket, still make a profit for the company. Same way with the restaurateurs. We want to take that burden off where they're getting hammered. Look, we have a transparent receipt. The driver, the restaurateur, and the driver, everybody sees the same receipt. There's no hiding the football here. So, it's a whole different mindset in the company as opposed to anything you see out there. Right now, a driver can't tell you what the rider paid for that ride and how much they really should make. So there's just not enough transparency throughout the whole system, and ours is all about transparency.
Okay, so since we're being transparent, I don't know if you can actually properly calculate this right now, but how much equity would you assume most of the Tripp drivers is going to be worth in, let's say, 5 years?
I could tell you a number, but to me, it's just like, it's kind of be a dumb answer for me to get myself into that bind. Okay. I think that if we go to a public offering and we get down the road and we're doing the things we're doing, the company, you've seen these valuations, they're out there, 2 billion, 5 billion, 3 billion. Mm-hmm. It's can we ramp the business up? Do we get market share? Can we get the bottom line? Those are really just the questions that we don't know yet. We're presuming we can. We're not worried about the competition.
Oh, okay. Well, and I didn't expect it. I was just curious. Like, I have to ask, No,
that's okay. I would love to tell you. I just don't want to get myself in a box and somebody comes back and says, "Oh, you said this or you said that."
Yeah. No, I can understand that. So, now speaking of your business model, this is when I have to write things down because it's amazing how complicated this really gets.
It's a very complicated business model, believe me.
Right. So
that's what's taken us that's why we've had problems.
Right. So since we're talking about values, Instacart's a supposedly a $14 billion company, and Grubhub just got acquired for over $7.3 billion.
Right.
Uber Eats is backed by billions of dollars as well, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
The way I understand it, these companies have thousands of engineers working to build complex systems. And I hear Tripp does something called the One Database, which is a monolithic application.
Well, it's basically a SQL server, where all the data's in, and then it gets sorted out through calls. It's been around. It's
okay. Well,
it's a Microsoft database, basically.
A Microsoft database. Okay.
Sure.
Do you think the Microsoft database is gonna be able to compete with companies that have billions of dollars behind them?
Yeah, don't get confused about a database that somebody has $1 billion. I mean, they're spending billions of dollars a quarter on losses. So
Okay.
if they have all the right technology and the right business model, why is it costing them $1 billion or $2 billion a quarter? I mean,
Well,
that doesn't make it so. Look, when companies start, and new companies start like us, we have to do it smart. We have to, we don't have deep pockets, and we want to go play with these big guys. We have to be smart about what we do. Our system will handle any ramp up that we have. It's not a case that it can't handle velocity or growth or enterprise. It's all built on enterprise, so it'll scale.
all right. And you won't have any losses yourself to deal with when it comes to running the server?
We think that we can get into profitability pretty quickly. I'm
Oh.
not going to say how fast, but relatively quick.
Okay, well, I was asking if you expected any losses on the system.
No, we don't expect. You mean problems with the system itself, technology?
No, not problems. Like here, because here was what you said. You said that like Instacart, Grubhub, and Uber Eats, and like they have these servers and they're losing a lot of money on these servers. I'm asking.
Well, they're losing money on their business model. It's not on their servers. Their business model doesn't allow them to make money for whatever reason. I'm not intimate in their numbers, so I don't, other than when I see published numbers, that's all I get to see.
Well, it's usually a tax issue, but I was just curious. I didn't know what this One Database was. That's why I had to write it down.
Well, a lot of guys will use multiple kinds of databases. Just depends on what what they're looking at. What they want to use, a SQL or MySQL or Mongo or whatever. I mean, there's all kinds of database structures, and it just depends how they build their systems out. We've looked at the ones that are online. You can see what they built.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, next thing I want to ask is, I want to touch on that Miami's Dolphin deal. Can you explain what the deal with the Miami Dolphins is?
Yeah, we had a deal with the Miami Dolphins. We were to launch last August. Literally a day before the launch, our tech team came to me and said, "Hey, we don't have it wired down like we thought." So it put us in a bind with moving forward with Miami Dolphins. We haven't been sued by them. We signed a multi-year contract with them. So we'll go back and revisit it. Now we're getting ready to open Miami and Fort Lauderdale again. But with COVID's, there's not much you can do right now.
No. So that's what happened. It was just a technology issue.
Total technology issue. I know you had my old CTO on there, and he and I are going to be in litigation, obviously.
Yeah. Right. And I know that might tie some of your answers to some of these questions. The reason I'm asking is because I got several reports, and one of the reports is that you owe the Miami Dolphins $262,000, and that your contract is breached with them for only paying $37,500 on a $300,000 contract. So is that true?
I don't know the numbers exactly, but yeah, essentially that's what happened. We signed a long-term contract. We paid them a payment, and then the system didn't go, and then we had nothing but problems after that. So when you have a CTO team telling you one thing, but they're not telling you the truth, then you're making decisions based on bad information. And I can't get really deep into it because we're going to get into litigation. We're already in litigation, basically.
Right.
So we'll see where it sorts out, you know?
No.
All I can tell you is go look at the guy's bio, and it's all a fraud, every bit of it, education, the whole 9 yards.
The owner of the Miami Dolphins?
No,
His
I'm
bio's
talking about our CTO. No, the owner of Miami Dolphins is a super guy.
Oh, okay. All right, because that's the guy. For the record, that's the guy who sent me this information.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I look, the facts are the facts. We did not fulfill our obligations. Pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. And I also heard that your co-founder David Mata is no longer with the company, and neither is Bill Crosby or your old COO. Can you explain why they left?
Sure, absolutely can explain it. So sometimes you don't end up with the team you started with. Okay. So most of the team we started with, first of all, Bill Crosby was not an employee of the company. Okay. He was a marketer guy. So he was not even inside the company. David Mata is no longer here. The whole startup team, other than Lisa's story and a handful of others behind the scenes, are still here. But the people that are out front, like Dave Mata, are not here. Taha Abbasi's not here. And certain other people are not here, which is fine, you know. Look, we got the company righted in the last 5 months without any of those people. And they had actually 18 months to perform, and they couldn't perform.
All right. So I'm curious, why I was under the impression the COO was your son. Why did he leave?
He started a new company. He was never slated to stay. He helped us through a period, and he started a new company.
Oh,
pretty creative.
Oh, what's his company?
Surf Care.
Surf Care? What do they do?
Sell insurance for surfers. There's 35 million surfers in the world.
Yeah, no, that would, I could actually see why that would be a good business to get into.
Well, he understands the business, you know. So he's the one who's actually I was with when I learned about rideshare.
Oh, okay. So, well, I'm glad he's doing well then.
Yeah, he's doing very well.
Yep. Now then, I do have to ask about the driver, the $200 for the drivers. You know, a lot of drivers.
$200 for the drivers. What do you mean?
$200 for the drivers, and that's annual, right?
No, we have suspended that program. If you're in the delivery side of the business, you don't pay anything. You don't even pay your subscription fee in the front of driving. You pay it 30 days after you've been driving.
Okay.
So you get to drive for 30 days, collect all your money, and then at the end of 30 days, we'll hit your credit card, for 39 or 99.
Oh, okay. So you're not currently
no fee
up for Tripp. You're not currently signing people up for $200.
No, we don't sign people up at all for money right now. We're signing people up. We signed up a lot of people yesterday. I don't know what it looked like today, but we don't charge any money. We do have a charge for the rideshare driver for the background search. If we decide to employ that, it's $75.
Okay. Because one of the accusations that was made during the Taha interview, which I'm sure you watched, was that the background checks were not performed and that the $200 were never refunded. How do you respond to?
First of all, I don't want to respond to it. I mean, I'll respond to it limitedly. Okay.
Limitedly, but whatever you can
do.
But
I don't want to get into it because it's going to get into litigation, because all of those things he's talking about, he signed an agreement, a non-disclosure agreement with us. He's about going to find out how the real world works, not opposed to what he thinks it works.
Okay.
But yeah, we took money from people. We did clear background searches. He never delivered the product so people could go to work. It's just that simple. And it'll all come out at the end of the day. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
Okay.
I'm feeling very comfortable where we are with it.
Okay, well, I'll accept that answer. So speaking of Taha, I was actually on the Zoom call the week he had left, and I was there watching as you took him down, showed a lot of
I
the.
didn't take him down. I just told the truth.
Okay,
It
well,
was all there.
okay, well, tell the truth. Tell the truth then. What semantics at this point. Basically, you spoke out against him, and
Absolutely.
you highlighted why you disagreed with him, and you highlighted all these things that he had done wrong from your perspective. My question, and I hope, and I
The,
don't want
the
you to take,
system doesn't work.
I don't want you to take this too personally, the way I'm going to word this question. But I know that, I know from your perspective, he's not being professional. But do you feel it was professional on your end to lay into him like that with a bunch of strangers?
Well, I don't know if I laid into him. He'd been laying into me on the internet at will,
Yeah, no,
So look, you
I'm
can't
not,
have, let me finish, please. You can't have somebody like him espouse something and not retort. If you look, you should go back and look at that interview I did when I went through that. I wasn't upset. I just went through the facts. That's all I did. And the facts talk big in what we're doing here. So I'll just let the facts talk for themselves. I wasn't trying to excoriate the guy. He's the one who brought it on himself. His bio is a fraud. He knows it. That's why he's jumping around and going crazy when I started asking all the questions.
well, if his buyer was a fraud, why didn't your background check catch it then?
Well, we didn't do an electronic background, but we did do a background search. He lied on there who we talked to, and he also lied about where he was working at the time. He wasn't working at the company he said he was. We called that company, we couldn't get through. That company had actually gone out of business. He took a job with, when you commit a fraud, you intend to do something, get somebody to hire you. He was told by every executive he interviewed with that this is a full-time gig, not a part-time job. So you can't have another job. So he said he was leaving his old company. Well, he had already left that company, was already working as a CTO at another company up in Utah. It's all records. It's all public records.
Oh, okay, but you called one of the companies and you couldn't get through to them?
No.
And that wasn't a red flag when you hired him?
I guess it could be a red flag. A lot of companies don't pick up phones. We did email, so.
And they didn't respond to the email either?
Yeah, I didn't do the background search myself.
Well, I know you didn't personally do the background check.
Yeah.
I was just.
And Taha is very engaging. He's a great sales guy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. I was just I was just trying to figure out, like, this guy was like so obviously ill-suited for this job. I was just wondering how he passed the background checks and stayed on the company for so long.
That'll all come out when we get into the court situation.
That'll all come out in litigation.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a chapter and verse on it.
Oh, all right. So you actually already know this question. People are asking, when is the Tripp app going to launch?
Well, the Tripp app actually has launched on all of them. I mean, we're now in the process. Next stage will start Monday, starting to recruit restaurants onto our platform. And we've picked out 3 markets: Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, as one market, not 3, and then Atlanta and Houston. So each one of those markets has about, call it 7,000 to 9,000 restaurants in those markets.
Okay.
So the job would be to go out and elicit the restaurants to sign up with us, and then, presumably start doing pickup service for them.
Oh, okay. And what date could you give my viewers? Like, when can they actually start picking up food and delivering said food?
Yeah.
What cities would that be?
Well, the 3 cities I just mentioned: Atlanta, Houston, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and West Palm Beach. I think it's going to take us 3 to 4 weeks to sign up, a prerequisite amount of, restaurants to get started, 750 to 1,000, something like that.
Yeah. And will you actually meet this deadline? Because launch dates have been pushed back before.
Well, I mean, yeah, we think we're going to hit our deadlines. I don't think we got any real problems with everything. I mean, we've got solid technology, got all our people in place. So we have over 115,000 people or so in our system. You know, as we start to go to these markets like Houston, we know we have like 3,000 or 4,000 people signed up there. We'll go back to those people, which we'll start doing this week and on the referral program, and same thing in Atlanta and Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. Okay. All
I
right.
mean, look, I can't swear to we're gonna do everything 100%, but we're gonna give it, you know, the you know, the presence it deserves to get after that marketplace and make it happen.
Okay. And
Our value proposition for the restaurateur is so strong that I don't think it's going to be an issue for, you know, for the restaurateur to make a decision. It's pretty, you know,
yeah.
pretty simple decision if you want to save 30-40%.
Oh, okay. And I asked Taha this over a year ago, so I have to ask you now, just to be
Sure.
fair. What does launched look like in your eyes? Is launch like fully operational? Drivers can pick up food, deliver it, or is launched we've put the app on the store and we'll?
No, the launch is exactly what you just described. You know, the drivers are working, the restaurants are, you know, putting orders together, and our drivers are going and picking them up and dropping them off.
Okay. Oh, all right. So I'm taking a moment to look for any super chat questions. I don't see any yet, but you know, so so remember, folks, if you want a question that's reasonable, you have to leave a super chat, because I see the comments flying. There's 95 people watching. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Watching. Give a thumbs up if you've been enjoying the interview so far, but we obviously can't go through all these comments. So if you want your comment to stand out, that's just what's going to have to happen. So all right. So trying to think. You know, I actually have like, I think no one will care about this question except me, but I'm curious, why did you stop doing the Tripp meetings on Zoom?
Stop doing the Tripp meetings on Zoom.
Like,
We do Tripp meetings on Zoom all the time.
Because
we did one the other night. We did one. We stopped doing them on Thursday night at the normal time we used to have them every Thursday night. We stopped doing them there. We stopped doing a lot of things because I thought that the social media and the media that we were using was not productive to what we wanted to accomplish. So we changed our whole program up. We weren't using YouTube, which we're doing now. So it's recorded. People can go on our YouTube channel, see exactly what I'm talking about, you know? So it's much more a communicator tool, but we did a Zoom just the other night. We do a Zoom, you know, like we did 4 trainings this week on Zoom. We did one today, this afternoon at 11 o'clock.
Because I got an email, and this was before COVID, that, you know, you were not doing that the weekly Zoom thing had been canceled and you were going to be doing something else. And then I no longer got emails about them anymore, even though I personally didn't unsubscribe to them.
Are you in our database?
Well, I don't know. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, you wouldn't get our emails. Like just the other day, just so you know, we sent out 116,000 emails the other day to the entire field. We sent out 116,000 text messages to the entire field. We're communicating with the field all the time. If you want, I got your phone number. I'll look it up and see if you're in our database. If you're not, I'll put you in.
Yeah, because I was under the impression I was in your system, and
if you haven't been receiving it, it's either you're not in our system or you got unsubscribed somehow.
Well, I didn't unsubscribe.
But I'll as soon as I'm off this call, I'll look it up and then I'll text you if you're in the system. And if not, I'll put you in.
Oh, all right. All right. Excellent.
But there are decisions being made in the company to run the company the most efficient way to communicate. And we communicate a lot. I mean, like I said, we had two in Spanish, 2 in English this week, trainings, how to onboard restaurants, all of that stuff. We have very professional people that are teaching these classes. I probably do at least 2, maybe sometimes 3 or 4, you know, YouTubes during the week. Some of them are 10 minutes long, some could be 20 minutes long. It's just informative information that we're giving the field.
Oh, okay. So the here I have just a couple more questions. One of them's going to be a lot easier than the other, I'm not going to lie. But have you heard of a Martin Cordell?
No.
No. Okay, he's a financial legal examiner with the Financial Crimes Division for the Washington government. Are
Okay.
you aware that he is leading an investigation against an SEC investigation against Tripp for fraud?
I have no clue.
You have no clue.
No.
So no comment on that whatsoever.
I couldn't even answer to you.
Well, yeah, it's true. If you don't know anything, so you've never heard of Martin Cordell?
Never heard of the guy.
Okay.
First
Okay.
I've heard of it right now.
Okay. Well, there's a Martin Cordell out there, and he's got some concerns about the company. So I was just trying to hear from you first.
All he's got to do is pick up the phone. He wants to hear from the company.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'm sure he'd be glad to know that. So the final question is, where do you hope Tripp will be by the end of the year, considering we've been in pre-launch phase for, I would say, a little over 2 years now?
Yeah, I mean, we have a goal this year to end up with 36 markets opened.
Okay. 36 markets.
Correct.
Are there any particular states that are going to be difficult to launch in?
It depends what their regulatory issues might be.
Oh,
I'm not aware of anybody on the delivery side that's more difficult than the other. AB5 is a separate issue for California. I'm sure some of the other states are looking at it. You know, I seriously doubt that a lot of it'll stand. They're just going to wreck an industry. So.
no. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much all the questions I have. So thank you. Do you have any final comments yourself?
No, just thanks for letting us do the interview and hearing about the company, and just stand by. You're going to see some neat stuff happening.
Oh, okay. Well,
and tell Mr. Cordell if he wants to call, give me a call.
Oh, okay. I'll well, all right. I'll let him know that if he calls me again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, anyway, folks, that was Bob McNulty, the CEO of Tripp Technologies. And once again, I would like to thank him for being on this show. And I also want to give him a lot of credit for being on the show, because some of these questions are, to be blunt, not fun. And he could have easily not done this interview at all, but he agreed to do it. And so I want to thank him sincerely for actually taking the time to talk to me. So thank you, Bob, for stopping by. As for everyone else,
my pleasure, Kevin.
All right. And as for everyone else,
why don't we do a roundup maybe around Christmas?
Around Christmas? Yeah. Why don't we follow up at around Christmas? That would be that. I mean, we'll probably all be having indoor Christmases, so it'd be good to see where all of this stands at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll see some pretty interesting stuff. We'll be opening lots of markets, so you'll see the proof in the pudding.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we shall see. As for everyone else, thank you for watching. We would like to, of course, know any thoughts or concerns or questions you might have. Again, we couldn't do all of them, but I'm sure Bob will be reading all of the comments and intently. So feel free to leave them either in the chat or in the comment section below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, playing responsibly. Have a good one.
Thank you. Have a good one.